Hey everyone, we are here on Facebook Live, Negotiate with Confidence, our very first Facebook Live video. I'm so excited to be here. And for those of you who couldn't join us for the live version of this show, we are going to be recording it so you can watch it anytime. So if you're joining us after the live version, you can still comment and make any points or things that you'd like to contribute to the conversation, because the conversation will go on in the comments afterwards. So I see that Alan Hereford has joined us, and it looks like Michelle is here. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Alan. I'm so glad you guys could join us today. And I'll try and say hi to people as they pop in, and feel free to make a comment. So I'm just glad that the technology is working, and I'm so happy that a few of you are signing in, and Michelle says hi. So today we're going to talk about how to ask for what you want, how to celebrate the yes, and what to do to get over a no, have the resilience to ask again. It looks like Megan is joining us. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining us. Facebook Live. So when I started thinking about what to talk about on Facebook Live, and hi, Arian. So glad to see you here. It's so exciting to be doing our first Facebook Live together. Yay. And it's working. And there's Megan. Yay. Hi, Megan. This is so fun. It's like we're all here together. So when I started thinking about doing a Facebook Live, I told everybody, I told you guys and everybody on Facebook and my email list everywhere how nervous I was about this. I was nervous, even though I've done hundreds of presentations and webinars and sales meetings. I'm kind of a public person. I'm not super shy. And there's a reason why I told everybody that I was nervous. Because oftentimes we look at people around us and we say, gosh, that person has really got it all together. That person just got a raise or a promotion or got this amazing speaking gig or increased their business or their customers. All the accomplishments that we see of other people, we think that just comes naturally to them and they don't get nervous. So it's really important to know that everybody gets nervous. I'm nervous right now on Facebook Live, and I just want to put it out there that says, even if you think I'm not nervous, I am. It's important to feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's what this is all about. A couple of days ago, I posted, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that was kind of leading up to this whole conversation about asking for what you want. A lot of times we don't ask for what we want because we feel a fear and a shame of how it's going to feel when someone says no to us. So when you ask someone for something, you're putting out a vulnerable piece of yourself that says, hey, Ruthie, Ruth just joined. Welcome. You're putting out a vulnerable piece of yourself when you ask for something. And when someone says no to you, it feels personal, even when so many times it's not. So whatever you're asking for, if you're asking for a raise, a promotion, if you're wanting to get on your company's management fast track program, if you want to get onto a leadership team, if you want to be included in a board, if you want your coworkers to turn their work in on time so that you can continue moving a project forward, if you want a referral, if you're asking for a reference, somebody to write a reference for you on LinkedIn or a customer reference, anything that you are asking for, they can feel really big and make you feel nervous. So if you're nervous, I'm going to talk to you guys today about 3 things that you can do, that you can focus on to make your ask, feel the fear, and do it anyway. How to celebrate the yeses and feel resilient when you get a no and keep going. So in negotiations, and everything that I write about and teach about has to do with what you think, what you say, and what you do. And you'll see this trend over and over again in everything that I write. And if you come to any of my webinars, which I'll be having within the next couple of weeks and inviting you guys to, we're going to do a real class, like an hour-long class, which is so exciting. Oh, Megan says this is perfect timing. So I'd love to hear more about what you're dealing with around asking for more, Megan. Looks like we have quite a few people who are independent, who are probably focusing on pricing your services. And what do you say when a customer says you're too expensive or pushes back on your price? So I'll try and weave some of that into this as well, not focusing nearly as much on the corporate stuff, so that you guys will get more out of this. So feel free to make a comment if you have a question. I'd love to hear from you guys and be able to answer your questions. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a story of when I had a big ask, and it was a big, important ask. And I went through the 3 steps. What do I think? What's going through my mind? How do I prepare myself? What do I say? And then what do I do? So the situation is that I was pregnant, and this was a few years ago, and I had a management level position. I had 12, 13, 14 people on my team at the time, and I was working a lot of hours. So when I sat down to think about what I wanted my life to look like after I had my child, I didn't want to be working as many hours. So I had been at a company for a long time. What I wanted to do was go to my boss and say, hey, I would like to go down to 30 hours a week. But I was super scared because there was no precedent. In fact, I knew that they had said no, the company had said no to people before me who had proposed working part-time. So there was a precedent, but the precedent was for a no. So this, in my mindset, I was gearing myself up for a no, but I had a choice, just like you have a choice. You can ask for what you want anyway, even though you're afraid, or you can just let it go. And if I let it go, I would have been out looking for a part-time job after I had my son. I didn't know it was a son at the time. I was one of those rare people who was surprised when I had my child. So I'd love to hear if you guys were surprised too. Make a comment. Okay, so my mindset, I had to get myself geared up and have the confidence to ask. And I decided I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So my mindset was set. So that's number one. Number two is what you say. And this is really important. When you ask for something, think about it from the other person's perspective. So I could have gone in to my boss, who totally loved me. We had a great relationship. Everything was great. And said, hey, I really want to work part-time because I want to spend more time with my child. And he would have understood that. I mean, he would have been supportive of me. But his primary responsibility was to the company. So he couldn't necessarily say yes to me, even if he wanted to personally. He had to say yes to me from a responsibility to the company. So when I put myself in his shoes and thought about what's going to be important to him, what's going to be important to the other person, and frame your ask from that perspective. So if you're going in to ask for a raise and you say, I really need a raise because I need more money, I want to buy a house and it's so expensive to live here that I need to be making more money. The other, your boss is like, well, that's great, but I can't really justify giving you more money because you want to buy a house. But if I justify it from the perspective of all the ways I'm able to add value to the company and how I'm able to help him do better and fill in where there are extra needs. So for myself, to continue with my own story, I had to focus on what his needs were, which he still had to get all the work that I was doing done. So I went in with a proposal to say, listen, in 30 hours, I can do these parts of my job. I understand you may not want me to continue managing my team. So if we give these management responsibilities to someone else, then those management responsibilities will be taken care of by this other person. And I can still do all of these things. You won't have to train someone new. I can continue, the continuity with my internal client. So all of those things, and those were very attractive to him. So Michelle said, so helpful. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear. You guys feel free to comment. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Okay, so what we've talked about so far is what you think, having your mindset all ready to go, feeling confident in what you're going to ask, and then what you say. So making sure it's framed, focusing on what's important for the other person. And then the third step is what you do. Now, I want to focus on what happens when you get a no for what you do, because this is your action step forward. If you get a yes, celebrate the yes. Really, like sometimes people say yes and you're like, yeah, just take a moment to be happy and celebrate that you got a yes. The other day I posted on the site here that I asked a publication that I write for if they would feature me, one of my articles, in their weekly newsletter. It goes out to 150,000 women. And I was like, you know what? I'm telling everybody on this website just to ask for what you want. So I'm going to do it myself. I did. And she responded and said, yeah, absolutely. We'll do it next week. Celebrate the yes, right? Now, in my situation at work, I was able to frame it have a conversation, and I did get a yes. So I celebrated that yes. I was able to go back to my job part-time, 30 hours a week, and we came up with a plan for how to do that. So that was amazing. But what happens when you get a no, right? Thanks, Michelle. Yay. Yeah, it was really awesome. What happens when you get a no? And this is where all of our fear comes from, because when we go in to ask and we get a no, we have that feeling of shame that is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have asked, or I'm a bad person, or they don't like me. And in my situation, I would have thought I'm not valuable enough to the company, and they don't like me. And now I have to go out and find another job, because, you go down this spinning of like, I'm just not very good, and I'm not very valuable, nobody loves me, and all those like demons in our heads that come up when we hear a no. Well, maybe it's just me. I don't know. You guys may not feel that way, but the women I work with tell me all the time, and men, gosh, not just women, the women and men that I work with tell me all the time that they have these demons in their minds, this negative self-talk. Okay, so you guys are waiting on pins and needles. What happens when you get a no? How do you get over that? How do you be, oh, good, thank you, it's not just me. What happens when you get a no? Okay, this is the most useful skill that I have found to take the sting out of a no. You put on your reporter hat. Like, I'm going to be a reporter, and I'm going to find out why. And this requires you to be calm, right? Like, you can't get all super emotional, but you can take some of the emotions out of your response by thinking through this in advance. So what am I going to do if I get a no? I'm going to ask these 3 questions and just plan for it. So you know what's going to happen. You're not just going in afraid that somebody is going to say no. You know in your head what you're going to say, how you're going to respond. So put on your reporter hat. You see reporters on TV, on probably more like on the internet now, but they don't get emotional when they get a weird reaction from someone that they're interviewing. Instead, they ask another question. They get curious. Okay, so you don't want me to work part-time. Are the job tasks that I laid out, is that what you object to? Or is there something else going on here? Like, what is it that you don't like about my proposal? Are there things going on within the company that I don't know about? I've been told no on projects that I suggested when I asked and got curious, and my boss told me, one time I proposed that we redo some marketing materials, and my boss said no, and I was like, why not? This is a great idea. Come on, we should do this. And he said, we're getting ready to revise the entire program, so to redo the marketing materials now would just be a waste of time. Oh, okay, it's not my idea doesn't completely suck. It's that there's something else going on here that I don't know about. So I could have gone into mental spinning like, oh my God, all this stuff that's going on. Oh, I'm glad you like that advice. Yes, get curious. So put on your reporter's hat, get curious. So to sum it up, we're getting to the end here. We talked about what you think, that demon in your head, and how to keep yourself from spinning, how to go in and ask with confidence. What you say, that is framing it from the other person's perspective and making sure you know what's important to them. And what you do, so put on your reporter's hat, get curious about a no. I want to encourage you guys to ask. Just ask. Ask for what you want. And when you get a yes, celebrate the yes. And when you get a no, put on your reporter's hat and find out why. So we're at the end of our time now. This ended up being super fun. So I'm really glad you guys joined me for this very first Facebook post. And hopefully there will be more coming soon. I'd love it if you take the time to tell me what you liked and didn't like, so I can make these Facebook Lives really useful for you guys. Thank you.